Meeting of Manchester Township Board of Education to order. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Staples?
Here.
Mrs. Mount?
Here.
Of course, my pen's up there. Mr. Jenner? Mr. Servanek? Here. Ms. Pease?
Here.
Ms. Wingler?
Here.
Ms. McCarty?
Here.
And I'm here. All right, adequate notice was published on Tuesday, January 12, 2021, in the Asbury Park Press. The Manchester Times was advised specifying the time and place of the meeting, and a statement of this effect shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that certain circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Manchester Township Board of Education as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matters to be discussed is legal, personnel, and negotiations. It is anticipated that matters will be made public within 60 days. This resolution shall become effective immediately. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion. Second.
All right, who made the first?
Melanie.
Melanie, okay. Oh, Melanie made the first, and Debbie, you made second? Okay, have to get used to doing this here. All right, Mr. Staples? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Jenner? Absent, I remember that. Ms. Servanek?
Yes.
Ms. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Wingler?
Yes.
Ms. McCarty?
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right. We will be back in approximately a half hour. I'd like to reconvene the meeting of the March meeting of Manchester Township Board of Education. Roll call, Mr. Staples? Here. Mrs. Mount?
Here.
Mr. Jenner, still here, absent. Mr. Servanac? Here. Ms. Pease?
Here.
Ms. Wingler?
Here.
Mrs. Viscardi?
Here.
And I'm here. All right, would you please rise and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. My report's going to be very short, as they always are. The 4-day transition seems to have gone well, thanks to our teachers, our staff, our bus drivers, our parents, students, all those kinds of things. I think you're doing okay with that, Mr. Brotherwood? The 4-day transition back seems to be going.
Elementary said very well. We're looking excited about Monday for the high school and middle school.
Okay. Very good. So as we return to normal, this will be the last month we'll be doing remote board meetings. Next month we'll be going back to our old way of doing everything in person. So we'll get back into the groove of trying to establish our normal, whatever normal is going forward. All right. So we won't have any remotes and that kind of stuff anymore going forward at this point. All right. Other than that, looking forward to the changes next week. And that's what I have. Mr. Treasurer?
Before I give my report, we do have 4 of our outstanding freshmen sitting right up in front, and they would like to give a report. And I'm going to get this right, I hope. Francesca Gulch, Ava Bullis, Genesis Salguero, and Talia McKenzie. How they do, all right, guys? The stage is yours.
Here at the 2021 freshman SGA, I'm Talia McKenzie, the president of the class, Ms. Genesis Salguero, the secretary, Ava Bullis, our treasurer, and Francesca Gulch, our publicist.
Although times have been challenging with establishing fundraisers, the SGA has been successful thus far. Throughout the year, each grade level has been competing in a competition called the Battle of the Classes, and each month a certain grade takes charge with the fundraiser.
This year, we the freshmen are taking charge of April. The other grades have been leading several profitable fundraisers. Now, we are enthusiastic to have been granted the opportunity to take on a big clothing drive next month. We are positive that this fundraiser will have a good outcome. Details will follow in the beginning of April.
For the remainder of the year, the other classes have potential ideas to move forward in order to wrap up the 2020-2021 school year. So thank you for listening to us, and we would greatly appreciate your support.
Excellent, guys. Very good. Thank you. Now, you said if I put you on early, you had to be early, you know you had a lot of homework. So, check. All right. Thank you, guys. We have three board presentations tonight. The first would be from our curriculum department. Mrs. Pedroza, I think Mrs. Nichol will also be talking about. When we talked last month, we did talk a little bit about what they call decodable readers or Geodes. Board was looking for a little bit more information. Tonight will be just an overview again, so that everybody kind of has an idea of what they are. But again, we may have to ask you to come back and do a little bit more for it. But tonight, I think just an overview of what we're talking about when we talk about Geodes. This is Pedroza and this is Nick.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about the Geodes Decodable Readers. We actually had a very small discussion last week with one of our board members, and there were 3 teachers involved. This evening, we actually have Mrs. Pua, who is an elementary teacher at Whiting School. She's actually here to speak as well. As all of you know, the district has been committed to using foundations at our elementary level in K1 and 2. We've been implementing tiered instruction, or what we call in New Jersey tiered support system. And in order to be able to meet kids at all levels, there's been lots of conversation about how is foundations working, what more is needed, what kinds of things can we provide our teachers to give them support. So the teachers have asked for us to be able to research and look into decodable readers. As a matter of fact, I shared at our last presentation, I'm sorry, I'm not sure where to look. So, at our last presentation, we did speak about that at one point we had looked into something a little bit more affordable, which was the Spire readers. Actually, copies of them were purchased by MTES. Those teachers recommended that they still were not as good because they didn't follow the sequence. So we looked into really what would be available, and has Foundations worked with any company in particular, and they did work with this particular company to create books that have a similar scope and sequence to the Foundations. I will thank the board. You have been tremendous in terms of supporting our Foundations. We actually have a Tier 1 facilitator trainer and Tier 2. Our goal is to continue to provide PD for Foundations. We'll be speaking a little bit tonight about NJ Cusack, and you'll also hear that part of our accolades and part of our points that we earned was due to some of the strides that we have in our academic progress in the elementary ELA area. And we attribute that to years and years of trying to develop a program that's personalized to instruct our students. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Nickel and Mrs. Pua to give a brief overview, and then if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them at that point.
Okay, I placed on all of your tables just a sample of the Geodes Readers. As Mrs. Pedroza said, we really have been researching this for quite some time. Foundations is a major priority in our K1 and 2 classrooms. It is very highly researched. It teaches phonics, language, and comprehension in a very systematic way, and our students really do perform very well with it. The one component of the Foundations that we've always felt was missing was a text that the kids could use to really apply the skills that the teacher has been teaching. So the teacher teaches a whole group Foundations lesson, and they really want a text to be able to have the kids apply, because we know that's what builds really strong reading fluency. So we've researched several different resources, and over the years we've purchased primary phonics. We use a lot of our RAS Kids, Learning A to Z decodable readers. Our teachers have created alignment charts. We've placed them in classrooms to be able to provide differentiated instruction, but nothing ever completely aligns all the time. And this is the one resource that does. There is a company called Great Minds that has other programs in their company. They partnered with Wilson Foundations to create these decodable readers that are highly engaging, authentic, teach kids about real-world life experiences, give kids vocabulary that they can talk about beyond maybe their own daily lives, and it gives them a reader that is at least 80% controlled. So what that does is that means that everything that I've taught my kids in Foundations, or previously taught them, or are currently teaching them, are in these readers. Oftentimes what we find with decodable readers is, one, there's not much of a storyline. They become silly. Pig and the wig, and the cat sat on the hat, and it's hard for kids to really develop that comprehension behind those silly word patterns. But what these stories do is really give them authentic literature to be able to read words that they are practicing in the classroom through Foundations, that whole group instruction, but then also provide opportunities for comprehension, extension, and vocabulary. So the intention of these readers is to give, and what we're asking the board to approve, is to put these in our first grade classrooms. The program for first grade, or the resource, would come with 64 of these titles, these decodable books that follow the sequence of Foundations. It would come with 6 copies of each of these color versions, but every student would get their own copy of these versions, which are separated into modules. So every 4 books is a module. The kids would get this. This would stay in their desk. It would be their reader. They would use it when the teacher's teaching that whole group application of the skills, and then they can take it into their independent work time. The program also comes with black and white blackline masters that the teachers can copy that can be sent home for reinforcement. Our teachers like blackline masters because we like to color, we like to circle, we like to find words, we like to, write all over the book. So that gives them all those different opportunities. Now these books, that I get six of each copy, these beautifully colorful books, one can be used as the teacher reads aloud, as all the kids have this in front of them. But then the teacher can take this into their small group instruction and have the creativity to reinforce, extend, or use the text in any way that they see fit for those kids. As you know, we do follow a workshop model. We believe in whole group, small group, and independent practice. So this would not be the sole resource that we would use in our guided reading or small group instruction, but it is one way for our teachers to reinforce the foundation skills. It can support our double dose Foundations, but it also can take our higher level readers and allow us to extend their comprehension through this authentic literature. I might be able to bring in texts that are, supportive in topics, and then extend and compare. For my little lowest readers, I might just go on word hunts. And then over and over and over again, I could have them reinforce using this controlled text to get them to build their reading fluency. It's also really exciting for our lowest level students too, because often those are the kids that get the little books that don't have much meat to them. So to be able to put a book like this in the hands of a lower level first grade student and to see them master that and read that is just an incredible gift to give to our kids. So we do know we spend a lot of time researching literacy and what's the best way to teach our kids to learn how to read, because that is one of the most important things we can do. And what we know is that kids learn how to read by learning the rules and how words work. And that is what Foundations does in such an amazing way. So to be able to support our Foundations instruction, give students readers, allow all kids access to authentic, highly engaging text is something that we feel is very valuable and very important in our classrooms.
Ms. Nichols, quick question for you. Do you have a sample of the lower level reader?
Yeah, so I just gave Mrs. Mount some samples of kindergarten. So kindergarten level K, they are designed in a little bit of a different way. So, and I gave Mrs. Mount 3 different versions. When they start the program out, it's a lot of wordless books where students can point out vocabulary. They can find pictures that begin with that letter. As they move on, they have cueing in the actual text where it will say, find the picture that starts with the B sound, and it'll have teacher prompts in it. And then they call it Duet Readers, which is the next step. And that's where the teacher would read a page and the student would read a page. So it teaches them how to go back and forth. So the teacher page may have a little bit more vocabulary, and then the student page would have that purely controlled text based on the sounds and skills that they're learning in Foundations. Yes.
Could you get us all copies of that, please, Ms. Nichols, so we can all see that
Yeah.
in the future?
So this is what the...
Yeah, so you'll see the 3 different ways that they're structured in those books. I'll let Mrs. Pua, we had some discussion with Mrs. Mount with 3 teachers, one from each elementary school, who really are teachers who support our primary grades and work with a lot of various different teachers and different classrooms. And Mrs. Pua here works in Whiting School. She supports our K1 and 2 classrooms. But if she wants to say anything about... Okay.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to just simply say, like, on behalf of the teachers, we've had a lot of conversations about geodes and foundations and definitely not having something that matches our phonics program. And phonics is basically teaching our students how to sound out words and then being able to read them. And the problem with not having a book or what we call it decodable, which is books that we're able to sound out and then read, is that then they're into the habit right now of guessing, and it becomes a very difficult habit to break. So students right now are looking at pictures and they're looking for cues and they're guessing their way through our stories. And that works for a little while, but then they get to a point where it doesn't work anymore. And so studies are starting to show that decodable readers are helping students become stronger readers. And so even though you might open this book and Unit 3 might look like it's too difficult for first grade September, it directly matches what we're teaching them. So even though when you first visually look at it, because we've taught them all the sounds, because we've taught them the sounds of that diagram and how to tap out that word, they can read it. So all of these books are meant for us to be able to guide them through that reading no matter what level they are. So even myself as a BSI teacher teaching those lower level kids, there's so many activities that I can, even if they can't read through the whole book the first time around, yes, I can still use this in my small group with the lower level kids. And then the right on level kids will use it whole group. So the lower level kids will get exposed to it whole group and small group. So will the main regular level kids, so will the above level kids. Like, they're going to be constantly exposed to what they just learned in foundations, which is the goal. So hopefully by the time that they're at the end of foundations in first grade, their reading is so strong that in second grade, we're not seeing such a struggle, which is kind of what's happening right now. And so for us, this is like a blessing. We're really excited about this, and we're really hoping that this happens for us today, because although we do have other resources, we do not have anything that's decodable for them. Nothing that they can tap out and that they can sound out and that they can use what we've just taught them and apply it. So, thank you.
Are there any questions for us?
Okay, I think we're going to hold any questions for Ms. Pedrosa, because I'm a critic of it. I really need a lot more convincing than what I'm hearing right now of this program, okay? And even when we approve the budget tonight, I understand that does not mean they're automatically ordered. We're going to have more discussions on this in the upcoming weeks to make sure that this is, we all agree this is the direction we want to go with our program. All right, so thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the samples that I got tonight. I would love to see the samples on the Tier 2 and Tier 3. Tonight's the first time I've heard of Tier 2 and Tier 3, which I don't understand why. I'm just not hearing about them either. But I would like to see examples of them as well going forward.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, all right, Mr. Adams, Mrs. Tito, and Mrs. Raimondo, AP Boot Camp. We talked a little bit about this previously, I believe. So just to give us kind of an overview. Now, is this something that you need to screen? Oh, yeah. You need us to leave? Yep.
I'm sorry, I
And is the same thing for the second one?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be different. All right, that's fine.
Moving down and moving down.
Yes, we're moving down, we're not down. make sure you, yeah.
All right.
I think actually I saw.
Okay, AP boot camp. This would be the first year we're looking to do this with your approval for the summer of 2021. Okay. So what we wanted to do over the past couple of years, we have been increasing the number of AP courses that we've been offering our students. And so what we wanted to do now is build in some supports for our students so they can be successful, so that we can have a sustainable and thriving program. So Ms. Tifo was talking with the AP teachers and came up with a great idea to do the AP boot camp. The goal, one of the goals for the AP boot camp is that it's designed for the first-time AP students in any course. Because they, after having conversations, there were some students who were struggling with the AP course before, and so we felt that they need this kind of support to be successful in the program. Now, Ms. Tifo did a lot of work on this with the AP teachers, so I'm going to let her take over the presentation from there.
So as Mr. Adams said, the main goal of this is to help our students hone in on the skills they require to be successful at an AP course. And so we've got to remember we have 8th graders coming in, so in 9th grade they may be taking, or they could not be taking class till our upperclassmen. So we need to make sure all of our kids are prepared. In this summer boot camp program, students' experiences will be created to organize, communicate, or to work on organization, communication, teamwork, critical reading and writing, and problem-solving skills. So when we're looking at this, what should we be offering our kids? What do they need to be successful? So we kind of came up with some essential questions that what supports are available for our kids to develop a network with both their classmates and with their teachers. What academic skills are necessary to be successful not only in an AP course, but in college in general. And this will also transcend to all of their classes, not just AP coursework. What practical applications are critical we looked at, so they would be our critical reading, our teamwork, organization, problem solving, communication skills inside and outside of the classroom. So the course or the program at a glance, we looked at students will come to one session. We're offering 2, but they choose one session, which will last 4 days. And we focus on skill and content development, again, to be successful in the AP classes. Students who attend the AP program will be actively engaged with their peers in various activities designed to prepare students mentally, emotionally, and psychologically for the rigors that will be placed upon them in the college setting. It is a huge jump going into that AP course. We do not want our kids floundering. Again, not implying they are, it's just a level of support for them. So our students, as I said, will choose one session. We're offering it twice. It's going to be a Monday through Thursday. It's session 1, July 26th through the 29th, and session 2 is August 9th through the 12th. The way they're going to sign up for this is through our AP website, which is our AP Hub. It's online right now. If you were to look at it today, you're seeing more upcoming exam information, the calendar, their schedule, things to prepare. There's some information about our AP Computer Science kids that they've got a deadline coming up. So that's kind of what's on it now. Obviously, if this is approved by you, this will then be added to our website. We do have a deadline to register for July 12th to ensure that we are prepared for our students coming in. And the cost of the program is free. So there is no barrier for our kids in any way to attend this program. So the 4-day schedule for our boot camp. So the first day is going to be more the introduction to the courses. And we're going to go through philosophies of success, learning strategies and profiles, again, all tools to help our kids be successful in the program. Day 2, we work on organization, time management, study skills, teamwork, collaboration, leadership skills, and problem solving. Day 3, we kind of really get into the deep dive, if you will, and we are working on critical reading, note-taking, and analyzing documents, kind of bringing them up to speed with SAQs, LAQs, FRQs, and DBQs. All different things they're doing depending which is their AP class. So, for example, SAQ is short answer questions, so how to respond appropriately. Some of them deal with like document-based questions. Some of them are based on like thesis writing. It really depends, the course will depend what you take. And then the 4th day is going to include meeting some of our AP teachers. We're going to be addressing some of the coursework that they do, that they have to prepare in the summer, and some test-taking strategies. So it's pretty intense for 4 days, but again, to help our kids be successful. So the hours, it's 9 through 1 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. We're going to have breaks built in. There'll be a time for lunch. So it is like a traditional school day, if you will, but a very intensive program. So our AP teachers will be staffing this. They will be providing the instruction for it. Students will be taught in person, so they'll be coming into the building, obviously pandemic allowing. And they will be using some online resources though, and they'll be using their school-issued Chromebooks throughout the program to support their learning. Well, that's it. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions about the program? Yes, sir.
You said the course is free. Are we providing transportation as well?
If they require it, I've already spoken with transportation, it is possible. Yes, Mrs. Scott? Oh, great.
Fantastic. I think it's a great idea because they need to know what it's like in the beginning. They need to know what they're getting themselves into. I think the way you're balancing this out for 4 days, the schedule is wonderful. I just have an idea.
Yes.
It came to me. As a basic skills teacher, we do check-ins every cycle. When you thought about maybe doing like a cycle check-in at the end of the cycle, when you have middle margin period, how are those kids doing? Do they need anything? Do they feel like they maybe need something to be honed in on a little bit more? Do they feel, just to kind of make sure that they're okay?
That's a great suggestion.
You know, just like your tiered systems of support. You know, your intensive, your tier 3s, the kids who maybe are teetering out like, I can't do this. They might need a little bit more. So we want to keep them going because, I mean, the fact that we have so many kids who need these is wonderful. And I hope we continue that. But we need to still support them throughout the process, not just the summer, throughout the whole school year.
Absolutely, great suggestion.
Sarah, could you just mention how we run the AP, that we're obviously a semesterized block schedule, so how would the AP courses differ?
So AP program is a full year course students take, depending the academic discipline. It's on either an AV schedule, so every other, and some of the courses actually run every day for the entire year, depending the discipline. So our students are getting the full instruction throughout the whole year, which is very beneficial. It is open to any student. Obviously, there are certain requirements when you get to certain classes, but again, we also have some courses open for our freshmen to right away challenge our students and provide an opportunity. It's fantastic for our kids to be involved in an AP program and then have the opportunity to participate in an AP exam. It gives them firsthand experience at the college level, what is required to be successful. So when they leave our doors, we can say our kids are career and college ready. Our kids have been exposed to what college looks like. So then the first time they're in a college classroom, they're already ahead of the game. They have an edge, you know, that other students may not have had if they did not have the AP program. And don't get me wrong, if they didn't take AP, we're still supporting our students, and our students' other ways are still going to be successful at the college level. This is just one avenue our kids could pursue.
And I think by doing this too, we can also encourage, I think more kids are going to want to take AP too. I know the amount of kids that we're taking it, we're very high. However, by doing this and supporting it through the process, I think more kids will want to take the exam.
And I think, I agree with you, and I think that was just as Mr. Adams said at the beginning, the idea is we've opened up all more courses, there's been a lot of advancement that Dr. Ferrara did a huge initiative with a few years ago, and so again, we're just trying to continue those supports and continue building, and so our kids do feel successful, just as you said, this hopefully will continue the draw to the programs.
Yeah, I want to commend you on what you do, because obviously 2 years ago, we were recognized for getting more students involved. It's one of the few in the state, right? You made the honor. And just one thing, just explain a little bit about how in this class, the AP Art and the AP Physics and the AP English are all in the same course, because what's common about the APs?
I'm sorry.
In other words, if you're doing the summer course, are we just taking the AP or everybody?
This is for anybody in AP. It's not course specific. So basically, we are working with all of the staff to try to hone in on what skills are necessary that cross all disciplines, regardless of what you're taking. And the way the 4 days were scheduled was obviously just by experiences, talking with kids, talking with students, getting my teachers' input, looking what other districts have been doing, and looking at tests and what are big areas that are highlighted on the tests that, again, cross all disciplines that our kids need to be successful. And then part of it is actually, I've been involved with a structured learning experience, and it was they did a huge business survey, and the data show that one of the big things they still need from kids is critical thinking. And so that's definitely in here. So that is just based on current research as well. So, there's a lot of different ways we looked at this. Oh, I'm sorry, was there a question back there? I apologize. Yes, Thomas, please.
And I don't know if it's part of day 2, so I just wanted to clarify, but did you consider like a self-advocacy component for the students to know how to ask their teachers for help and ask questions?
That is part of communication. That was covered, yeah. We didn't call it self-advocacy, but that's called communication. How to network with your peers and your teachers, which was covered. So we're just saying it differently, but we're talking about the same thing. But thank you for clarifying. Yes, Ms. Mount?
I have 2 questions. Are we contributing towards the AP exam? And my other question is, can parents choose to pay for it as a college class, be guaranteed instead of taking the AP exam?
So the way this works with AP is, yes, last year our Board of Education was very supportive, and there is a financial support with taking AP. When you take multiples, there are certain discounts. It's not a full payment, but there is definitely support from our board to make that happen. And in regards to paying for a college course, it doesn't exactly work that way. So the way AP works, it's not like dual enrollment. Okay, dual enrollment is you pay for the college credit, assuming your child is successful in that discipline, they would get the credit. However, in AP, it's based on your AP exam. So you could take the course, but choose to not participate in the AP exam. So you could take the course and still be exposed to college level rigor and preparation. So when you go into that college class, you've at least already had that experience. So that's fantastic right off the bat. But number 2, if you choose to pay and you choose to participate in that final exam, you need a score of at least 3. You have to check your institution, your university or college that you choose to pursue. Some colleges do 3, some require you to get a 4 on the exam, or some require a 5. So you could pay for the exam, but if you don't get those magic scores, if you will, that the institution deems necessary, then you would not get college credit for it. But again, you're still exposed to the exam, so you still are writing a college exam, which is so important, and that college level curriculum, which is so important for our kids to be exposed to.
Ms. Bell, we took your advice at the last board meeting about make sure we get information to the incoming freshmen, so we are working on that to make sure that we get this information to the parents.
Yeah, we're working on a Hawks News now. Yep. Did I answer your questions, Ms. Matt? Okay.
So,
Oh, actually, I'm sorry, Ms. Matt, just to add, if students are free or reduced lunch, their exam fee is also less as well. There is a different price for those students as well.
Are the kids made aware of that from the beginning?
Yes.
So that way they're not going to look at
Yes.
financial burden?
Yes.
since social emotional learning is an important part of our everyday in our district and throughout the world right now, on behalf of a child who's now taking 4 this current year, 4 AP classes. The amount of stress that a child has right now, you know, it's a lot. So maybe we look into maybe trying to do like the last day, how do people
Actually, part of this is dealing with the emotional, the psychological, and the physical strain that is put on students through the rigor of it. That is actually, that was in the presentation, and that will be considered, because that is very important. And we've definitely taken those things into importance, definitely. We see our kids, you know, we look at them like they're our own kids, and we do see that.
What's nice about the AP teachers too is that they really talk to the kids. I mean, they know when things are going on with them, they can feel their stress, and they become a real close unit too, which is wonderful.
All right, lovely, thank you.
So we have 2 teachers here with us. We have Mr. Duet Weaver here, course teacher, and Mr. Nixon Meany. Because they're part of this, they've helped a great deal with this next presentation here. Certificated programs for a specialized course of study. So again, just like our AP program, we wanted to make sure we have supports, because a couple years ago, we made a presentation for our business academy, we made a presentation for our music academy, so we wanted to build in some supports. And one of the ideas that we wanted to do is to make sure our kids are career ready when they leave here and have experiences beyond the classroom. And so this is part of that. Okay, so this certificated program is designed to recognize student achievement in a selected elective course of study through a rigorous pathway through courses, through projects, and presentations. You will have some kids that are just going to take business courses, you have some kids that are just going to take some be in chorus, but then you have a select group who might want to be involved in a certificated program. In doing so, these students will be able to build career portfolios, network in their field of choice, and build some resumes and make connections with the community. As well, you know, we presented to you the structured learning experience, so students could take advantage of that as well in the certificated program. Okay, students must complete an application/audition for entry into the certificated program. Students must acquire credits to fulfill the program needs. Students fulfill certificated program requirements, which are GPA, coursework, some volunteerism, attendance, and a portfolio demonstration of skill mastery. And then we're going to be involved in some extracurricular involvement as well. So this goes again, we're going to ask the kids to do a little bit more to be part of the certificated program. And there will be an application process to get into the program.
So in order, the certification process is throughout their high school career, there is going to be different courses that they complete to be successful under the certificated program. They will follow a pathway that's designated by their department, whether it's music or business. Then they have to participate in upper level classes. So in your business, it might be like an accounting 2 class. And in your music, it could be something like an honors level chorus, honors level band, something like that in the upper levels. A music theory, for example. And then they will have to do a culminating presentation to demonstrate mastery and successful completion of the pathway.
Okay, all certifications have approved pathways to meet the certificated requirements. And some of the requirements are the classes that you take. It'll be the credits that you achieve. Students entering the certification program will have a clear understanding of the different courses or credits that they need to complete the certification program. Each certificated program, and the reason why we say each certificated program, because the program will be different according to what academy that they're a part of. So the chorus and band will be a different certificated program as opposed to business. But our idea is to have a capstone at the end of that pathway that our our students will have to give some type of presentation to show their skill and mastery.
So the certification requirements, so they start with an application process to be part of the program. Then they complete courses within the pathway. They have to have a GPA requirement and a credit requirement, again, specific to the discipline. As we said, business would be different perhaps than the music department. And then they'll have a presentation, which could be like their capstone, which is going to run the third week in May, so this is going to be an annual thing. And then, again, that's their capstone completion. So, and then they will finish with their application to get certified in this area. And all approvals must go through administration. So as I said, the application process, so the first step is entry into the program. It's the first application into it. And then the second application is to confirm certification. So it's once all the pathway requirements have been completed. When students have reached and completed all of their requirements, they apply for the certification. Similar to National Honor Society, it's the student's responsibility to complete this the requirement, the application. It falls all on the student. And then we do have a panel that will decide whether the student in question has reached all the requirements, and then that, because the student will do their presentation or their capstone for that panel of stakeholders.
And again, the panel will be administrators, guidance counselors, teachers, community members, in a certain business field and music field. So we want to bring in some outside people to kind of connect with the school. Again, the GPA requirements, students must maintain or reach in order to be eligible for certification. GPA requirement will be subject to the courses and specific certification pathway, but can also include an overall grade point average. Presentation, there will be a presentation component. Applicants must complete in order to be eligible for the final certification. The presentation must follow the elective course of studies established criteria. And that, again, and that criteria is a proposal given by the business department or art department, and they propose it. We have a conversation, we talk about it, discuss it, and collaborate, and then we'll come up with that criteria. I'll go back. So what we would like to do after a student completes the certificated program, we want to recognize them on the senior awards night, and we also want to recognize them at graduation as well. So I think this, and what we really want to do is to make sure that they have that career experience. So something going above and beyond of just taking the business courses. But what have you learned from all the business courses? What do you want your presentation to be? So that'll be a collaborative effort with the teacher and the student, and then they present to teachers, guidance counselors, and people in the business field.
Yeah, and one thing Mr. Adams said is this program can also work in tandem with our structured learning experience, which is our program where our students go out to the community and do internships. Unfortunately, we were not able to run that this year, obviously due to COVID. Obviously, our student safety is first and foremost. But we had very successfully year last year, so this is a great opportunity to continue with that program. Again, giving our kids that edge when they leave here. They've already done these internships, so they have these portfolios. So when they're in college or going into the workforce, they already have something to present. I've had students who have done an internship and have emailed us and said, hey, because of this program, I have portfolios now in my college year. When I'm looking for internships, I'm going into my interviews with professional work. So we're really giving our kids an edge. It's that career and college ready that we're really doing to support our kids to be successful.
Correct. And what we wanted to do, we wanted to design an umbrella program. So it's a certificated program, and then under it, the business will have their pathway, maybe the STEM engineering will have their pathway, the arts will have their pathway, but the program itself will be structured so that everyone can follow the program. Do you have any questions? Yes.
What year do they start this track? Is it incoming freshmen, or is it like National Honor Society where they start in their junior? Like when do they start the application process?
Right, so it would not be freshman year, they're just gonna go in, they're just gonna come in, start taking classes, because they might not like the business classes, you know, they might start there, but if they find that they like the business classes, they keep on taking business classes. Now we can start talking about what you need to do to get involved in that certification program.
However, those courses they took can still count
Correct.
towards that certification. So if a student did take the business and realized maybe in their 10th grade year, went, you know what, this is for me, I want to pursue this, I want to apply, then, okay, well, what did you take? You take your introduction to business, did you take an entrepreneurship? And then that can be applied towards your certification, so it's not a lost time.
Right. Good
The
point.
idea of freshman year is to give students a survey of what's at the high school. Obviously, they're still so young. We want to give them the opportunity to be exposed to as many things. So we don't want them funneled right in from entry, because then they may realize, oh, I enjoy this, but this is my true passion over here, and it's the music department, or it's the STEM area. So it's to not kind of lock kids in so early, because there's still so much exploration that needs to happen at the high school level.
Yes.
You were talking about maybe including SLE in this. Would that be like an elective option for one period to obtain that certification?
The way that works, the structured learning experience generally does not happen until 11th or even 12th grade year. Part of it is because of the requirements students need to just graduate, not even just speaking specifically to a pathway. So that generally, like I said, is an upperclassman, and depending their schedule, some students take it for a whole year, and their internship is an entire semester, others don't. And again, it's really student specific. I can't tell you if they're going to take one or the other. Some might take it for only a semester. Again, it really depends. The student depends on the internship.
But it would just be like an elective class?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So we need more business courses. I think our
Well, that's something that we have been talking about, whether we could add some more business classes. So we've definitely been talking about that.
I think that was one of your objectives, was to get them more exposed to business, and if they like it, then hopefully those courses will come. I know that's why your business teachers say, they give more people involved.
So I'm going to see, Mr. Salmini or Mr. Weaver, do you want to say anything? You don't have to.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of the process of thinking this out. I do think it's a great opportunity for students to, really focus on an area. One of the things that I was doing was just looking at what other high schools are doing. And there are a lot of high schools offering similar things. So I think it's great. And last year we did a lot to expand what we're offering as far as the music courses. And that was with this in mind. So, looking forward to seeing this happen.
All right, what would be some of the courses that they would take in going through this? What would be some
Yeah,
of
for
the
music, yeah. So it would definitely be the 4 levels of either band or choir, where they learn, on their instrument, proficiency on their instrument. And then a music theory course. I like to call it like some algebra of music. And then they have the option then to do, like in the vocal area, the musical theater workshop. And then in the instrumental area, we have a chamber ensemble. So that's like a small group where students really have to be independent in playing their instrument.
So their project or their presentation, what would that kind of look like?
Yeah, that will definitely be a like a solo performance. Yeah. So, and that could take the form of performing a few things. It could be performance. One of the things that they do in college sometimes is they have a lecture recital where you would perform 1 or 2 pieces and then discuss all about the piece. It's historical context, it's cultural context, and things like that.
One thing I'll just add too is, Mr. Reader, one thing the kids could do in the vocal levels or the band is if they have an audition coming up for college, A lot of times, for example, in the vocal, they've got to sing in 3 or 4 different languages, so they've got to have all this musical literature ready to perform when they audition at their schools. And a lot of the students are working on this 11th, 12th grade year. They don't just start 6 weeks before. To master the amount of music ones required at the college level, this is something they start by grade 11. So this could be also part of their final presentation, is their what they audition with their material, again, because it's quite extensive. They have to sing in French, Italian, German, an English folk song, something of that nature. So something like that could also be used. So it's tailored very much to meet the students' needs, goals, and make them successful, not only at their college level, but again, just preparing them for that audition to be successful. So it's really going to be, I think, unique to the students, both in the business and the music programs.
Mr. Salamini, make sure you tell the board about what happened for the Shark Tank competition.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Right now, we're not giving the students a real, I have a lot of the students come in my elective classes and they take it to fulfill, a course requirement, and they don't really have motivation or a reason to keep pursuing it, even if they like it. So, with this pathway, with the program, we're giving the students the opportunity to keep continuing on with something they may like, where otherwise right now, it's you take the class and you're kind of done. So it's nice to be able to give them the opportunity to continue on in a goal, to achieve in our elective department. So recently, I have my introduction to business classes we do a Shark Tank project every semester at the end. It's kind of like the capstone assignment in my class. And we're lucky enough, OCC runs a county-wide competition where schools, obviously throughout the county, will submit business plans on Shark Tank ideas, conventions, stuff like that. They take 10 teams out of the schools that apply, and we actually were lucky enough to get 4 of them. So we got 4 out of the 10 for the county. Unfortunately, last year, they had this and COVID happened, obviously, and we had 7 last year. So we've been doing well with the Shark Tank competition, the business classes, and we have high numbers in it, and we would just like to give them something to achieve, something to continue on in the business and music, departments.
Thank you, Mr. Salamini. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have your report?
Yes, I do. First of all, just to give for information-wise, we did have an incident at Regional Day School today that the power went off in pretty much all of Jackson. I guess a lot of people in Jackson.
No, it's only on the one side.
From 571 all the way to
Yeah.
They're pretty
This is what they kept.
Yeah. So anyway, our our special needs students really, fortunately, we did not even get them out of school when they were on the bus. So we returned them. They did do a remote day, so they would get credit for the day, but I was just informed probably around 5 o'clock that the power was restored, so we're back in business. Just a couple things. I'll give you kind of a progress report. Our elementary school transition. We really had a very successful transition into the elementary schools to the 4-day schedule. It was accomplished by the input and the cooperation of our administrators, our staff, and our parents. We were able to look at each classroom, and after processing the number of students transitioning to the 4-day schedule by the survey that was put out, we were able to determine the best classroom setup and allocate the desk dividers where they are needed. And every classroom is a little different, every school is a little different, so the teacher input, the administrator input was very key here. The teachers were really a great help in setting up the classrooms, anticipating issues, and they were generally very excited to see the kids. Each of the schools, Whiting, Ridgeway, and MTS, had about 85% of the students are back on a 4-day schedule, excluding, of course, kindergarten, which comes in on 5 days a week. Lunches were thought to be an issue because of the timing of the schedule. Our middle school and high school are kind of a grab-and-go lunch, but the elementary were in that area where it would be difficult if they didn't have something to eat. But I give in each one of the buildings, the principals were creative and it kind of solved the unique problems with the lunches, and I think they're going out very well. So I do want to say and commend our food service provider, Pomponian. They worked with us and made the lunches easier to pack and easier to eat. So they did a great job, and we're going to continually keep looking at it, but have 85% of our students back in the elementary school for 4 days a week. That's great. Starting Monday, we're now looking at getting our middle school and high school back to a 4-day schedule. While there are no issues like the lunches, there are unique situations in both the middle school and in the high school. Our block schedule has been a big help in the high school because the number of classes are limited, so we really only have 4 classes. We are currently, and we are, I think, pretty much done with installing the desk dividers for each of the schools, depending on the needs of each classroom. The administrators and the teachers today work through that. Being Wednesday is mostly a remote day, so without the students there, our custodians did, again, an outstanding job of putting together so many different classroom dividers and desk dividers. These dividers are different from the high school. We had to order special ones for the high school and middle school. The desks are a little smaller, so we had to make the corrections there. But unfortunately, our students are a little taller in high school, so we had to make some changes back and forth. So we're working through that, and again, we find out it's not one size fits all, obviously. So we're working through that, but right now, the schedules are pretty much set. The parents really should check the parent portal, probably Friday, to double check to make sure that their schedules are correct, and their bus schedules will be set up. They should check the parent portal either tomorrow or Friday. The schedules are based on the requests from the parents on the recent survey. Now, we've been getting some late requests now from parents to change their opinion from the survey, and if they do that, they're put on a waiting list to kind of go through that. So it's important that we take the survey, get those numbers corrected, and then take a look down the road of anything that we may be able to make some changes if possible. I don't have the numbers quite in the high school because that's a little bit more unique, but the middle school has about 70, a little more than 70% back. Less than the elementaries, but obviously for the middle school, they have a lot more going on. But I think 70, 75% are back. So that's a good turnout. In high school, I'm not sure exactly what. I want to commend the transportation department. Again, they're making a lot of changes in the schedules and so forth to make sure that they accommodate all the students. And the bus drivers continue to do a great job on really difficult circumstances. So my compliments to them. With that being said, it's extremely important to continue to follow the safety guidelines, including wearing masks, maintaining the best possible spacing. We're still taking temperature, completing the health screening each day, and obviously if your child is not feeling well, please keep them home. It would be something that we would work on because we really have to be vigilant. There'll be more students in the classrooms, so we have to be extra cautious in how we do this. But again, it's been successful to this point. We want to make sure that we don't take a step backwards. The times of the school day are going to remain the same. We're looking at pretty much a 5-hour day. Most of the schools, a lot of the schools in Ocean County, we're on a 4-hour schedule. We started with a 5-hour schedule. We've got a little bit more instruction. Basically, in the high school, it's a little bit more than an hour class, which works out well. We are looking at eventually moving to a 5-day schedule, probably as we start going into the 4th marking period, which is the end of April. That's our goal. But we will not lengthen the day, because by lengthening the day, you would have to then start including lunches, and then that takes away from the instructional part. You'd have to put on special situations. There are some school districts looking at tents and so forth. I just think it's, for our 5-hour day, which we've been on since the beginning of the year, I think we get a lot of instruction in there, and as long as we don't have the lunches, I think that'll stay. So we're looking down the road at the end of April for possibly a 5-day, but right now, we're looking at a positive transition in the middle school and high school for the 4-day. Spring break, just as a warning to everyone, and it's something to be cautious. We're all looking forward to a spring break, but I just want to remind our staff, parents, and students that all the travel restrictions are still in place, and they're still discouraged. Although we see a lot of things out in the Floridas and so forth, we're still under travel restrictions here in New Jersey. If anyone travels outside the immediate area meaning New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Connecticut, they are expected to quarantine according to the New Jersey Board of Health Plans. So I ask that everyone to please take care and stay safe and healthy. If you do travel, follow the quarantine recommendations and just be safe. One of the things that have come up now is we have been working with the Ocean County Board of Health to establish a vaccination center in Manchester at one of our schools in the district. We've had several discussions with the Board of Health, and they visited a number of our schools, and we agreed that our MTES school would be used as a vacation site. This is obviously an outstanding opportunity for our district to provide a convenient and easily accessible site for our senior citizens in the community. One of the reasons why the Board of Health looked at Manchester was because obviously our large senior population and getting them vaccinated was a key part. While the Ocean County Board of Health will provide the staff to take care of the medical needs, they've asked us to provide some volunteers from our staff to provide assistance for each vaccination clinic at our site. In exchange for our assistance, we have requested and they have agreed to provide vaccinations for any of our staff members who want. And that was in our recent survey, there's over 300, I guess it's 300 people who are looking at getting vaccinations who haven't. That would be obviously, we'll have the opportunity to vaccinate all of our staff who want through these clinics in Manchester. I'm in the process of working out the details with the Board of Health, the police department obviously involved, township officials, the MTEA, the association. We're all looking to coordinate our efforts to provide assistance. Not only would it help the town and the senior citizens, but it also would be a big help for our staff to get that vaccination that they need. So again, it's an excellent opportunity for us to get back to the community and provide the assistance for our senior citizens who are the most vulnerable population. We had Cusack, and that's on the agenda today. Received our scores from the Cusack review, and after a thorough review by the county, we have been designated as a high-performing district. I'd like to thank and commend the committees who worked so hard in preparing for this review. And I especially, hold your applause for this, especially commend Mrs. Pedrosa for her organization and the leadership. I know you brought a lot of your family here, so I do want to thank Diane. Again, this is the second round we had with the Cusack, with Mrs. Pedrosa, did an outstanding job in organizing and showing leadership and getting through the community. Mr. Pate was on one of our committees. We did have, as I said, all through the 5 areas, again, we're rated as highly performing. They did an excellent job. So thank you for anybody who served on the committees and for their input. And lastly, just want to recognize on our agenda some of our retirees tonight. People have been making some great contributions to the district. We have Mrs. Marlene Cox, who's been a paraprofessional at the high school for 19 years. She'll be retiring. Ms. Diane McCallum, our special ed teacher at the high school, who's been here for 15 years. Nancy Cadardo, our music teacher at the middle school, has been with us for 20 years. And Karen Hurley, our bus driver, who's been there for 16 years. So please give them a round of applause. And that ends my report.
Thank you very much. You're going to read Mr. Lorenzen?
Oh, now I have the business report. Okay. Unfortunately, Mr. Lorenzen's a little under the weather. He's very seldom, I don't think he's ever missed a board meeting ever, so I'm going to try to do the best I can for filling him in. But tonight's, just his report is basically dealing with the budget. The 2021-22 budget is on the agenda for the approval. This will allow us as Manchester to submit the budget to the county office for review, which is due on Monday. Changes can still be made to the budget after the county approval if necessary, up until the public budget presentation, which is somewhere at the end of April. The board will be asked to vote on the budget as a whole, and the budget is an estimate of the upcoming school year based on the information we have at this time. Just some of the highlights from the budget. We are within cap, so statutory cap, which means that there's no need to take it to a vote. So our budget right now is within that cap. The total budget is increasing about $953,000 from the prior year, but the actual operational expenses have really only increased by $183,000. State aid decreased about $106,000 from the Senate Bill S2. Although that's a hit, there's a lot of other districts that got hit much more severely. I know Jackson, some of the big areas, Griffin, Tom, Drew got hit very hard. We did get hit $106,000. The state aid represents only about 9% of our budget. The district is still about $1.2 million below the funding levels from 11 years ago. So from 11 years ago, we're still $1.2 million below that funding amount. And you know that cost has gone up. The federal aid budget is about 85% of the current year allocations due to an anticipated decrease in the federal aid. We get tuition income from Lakehurst, which will remain relatively the same for 2021. We are anticipating approximately 129 full-time equivalent students in 21-22. The health insurance premiums right now are estimated to increase about 8.5%. Ratables have increased in the township, and they went as a result of a reevaluation. They increased approximately $25 million over last year. The average home went from 198, 149 to 199, 300. As far as some of the other budget reviews, the salaries, employee benefits, special education, out-of-district tuition, pension payments, and liability insurance all represent about 82% of the budget. Although these are non-discretionary expenses, we have very limited control over those items. Enrollment is expected to maintain around current levels. Maintaining all our programs and extra activities are in the budget currently. There's no cuts. Our staff, right now, we're looking at maintaining our staff. However, we have some discussions that are still taking place on that. The county vocational tuition increases again next year. The vocational tuition represents about $205,000 out of the district budget. This includes part-time students and students who we send to MATES, performing arts, and the law and public safety. This is up from $16,500 years ago. Due to the funding issues, the vocational school increased their part-time tuition from 6 years ago to $780 per student, and $500 6 years ago to $1,560 for our full-time students. So each year we get a little bit more tuition that we need to pay for our vocational students. In the budget, there's a funding for a new math series at the middle school. There's some new textbooks at the high school. There's additional programs for all students to address the learning delay through our CARES funds. And that application just came out for the second part, so we're looking at what we need to do now to move forward with that. Continued maintenance and refurbishment of school buildings and grounds. We're looking at using maintenance reserves for larger items. There will not have, there will be no tax impact on that. We're looking at some security upgrades, including but not limited to adding more exterior cameras at the elementary schools. Focusing on new and replacement technology in the classroom includes a large replacement of the Chromebooks that will no longer be licensed or receive upgrades. And some larger projects under consideration for the 21-22 year is the addition of a new press box on the athletic field, resurfacing the track and tennis courts, and adding a new maintenance building at the high school for equipment and storage supplies. If these projects are done, the funding will come from capital reserves, and again, will not have any impact on the taxes. It is possible as new information becomes available that some of this information may change, but this is a tentative budget, and it's to be submitted to the county office for review. Changes can be made in this budget after the county review all the way up to the public meeting. We will give you, obviously, a more in-depth review at the public hearing, but if you have any questions, please contact Craig. That is his report.
Thank you. It just bears repeating, I know, and I've heard it ad nauseum over the years. The 9% state aid that we get here in Manchester, the average school district state in New Jersey gets 47%. Some towns get 80 and 90%. We get 9. So it's grossly unfair, but the formula's always been unfair. Well, I shouldn't say the formula's been unfair. They've never been able to tell us what the formula is. You know, they will not share what formula they used to come up with that number. They're very tight-lipped about that. And that's Republicans and Democrats right on through. Not one over the other. Excuse me. All right, it's time for board member reports. I'll ask you to please keep them short tonight because we're already 2 hours in. Let's say going forward on the board member reports, type up your board member reports and we'll have them posted online. So, because we get a lot of things very rapidly said and it's hard to really digest sometimes. So if we start typing those up and present them at the board meetings, we'll get them printed online. Then they're there for prosperity and everybody can see what's actually going on. All right? The one thing I would say is I was able to attend the kinder prep meeting last night. Very well done. Look forward to the class of 2034 coming in. I will not be here to see them graduate. 2034, gosh, I'll be in my 80s. But it was very well done. And there was like 60-something parents, I believe, looking at the numbers over there. So that's a good number. And,
80-something. I think I counted 80-something.
yeah, but a lot of that was administrators on those sort of numbers too.
Well, that's right.
Okay. So I'm trying to knock you out a few of them. Because I don't have a kindergartner. I don't think you do either, right? Actually, I have a kindergarten grandson. He's going on to first grade level. All right. So if any board members have a report, like I said, please keep it short. And in the future, let's have them type up and be presented so we can put them online. It'll be shared. Okay.
I have a few things. I actually have a doc that I share, and I just add that for Mr. Lorenzen, so it's very good if you guys want to keep adding to it on your own type of thing. Just want to congratulate all the winter sports. I know we're finishing off the seasons. Great job to the coaches and to all the students, the families that attended the home games. On the 8th, I attended the CAL meeting, County Association of Leaders meeting. Very interesting topic. It was purposeful wellness. It was about taking care of yourself. A lot of good strategies and techniques that were presented. On the 10th, the Ocean County School Boards Association, where I serve as vice president, we had a board president's networking meeting, so all the presidents from the county were invited to come and talk about things that are going on in their school district. On the 15th, which was this week, I attended the Passaic County meeting. Very interesting. It was a topic that I was pretty fascinated by. It was legal issues and legislative history and overview of the laws for marijuana. A lot of policies and procedures in the school setting that were discussed. Very, very interesting topic. So I do have a presentation from the attorneys that presented. I also attended kinder prep. Great job to the administrators. Nice work. So nice I saw some of the virtual families. Today in school, I saw some friends that are, their kids are looking at the kindergarten. And let me tell you, those 3 kindergarten teachers, can I be in their class? They were great. They were really good. Miss Gawain, Miss Sharkey, Miss Hingston, they did a great job with their presentations. Really, I wish I was in their class. And then one more thing, the 19th is the board directors meeting Friday night, 7 o'clock, so I will be attending that. That's my report.
I'd like to say, Ms. Rosa did a great job last night on the kindergarten orientation. It's a bittersweet moment because I didn't attend just as a board member, but as the parent of a kindergartner, class of 2034. So it was an exciting and emotional night. I want to give a shout out to Lisa Dolan and Mrs. Aktada at the middle school. I never met the school nurse before, and she's awesome. I met her because of contact tracing. I picked my daughter up yesterday, and both Ms. Aktada and Ms. Dolan were super nice and super helpful. My daughter Avery is back to 4 days a week at MTES, and it was very nice. I got to actually go in the building last year. I'm usually a familiar face when COVID's not here. Ms. Walter took me on a tour. I got to see some of the classroom setups, and it was also nice to see some teachers who had such positive attitudes and energy and get feedback from them. It was also nice to meet staff while they went over the Geodes program to give their view on that. I just want to say good luck to all the middle school and high school students and teachers as you get a little bit closer to normal next week.
Anyone else? All right, we'll have public participation for agenda items only. If anyone has any questions on anything that's on the agenda, if you'd like to come forward and ask us a question. All right, seeing no one come forward, we'll close that. With Ms. Lorenzo not here, I'm assuming we have no old business or correspondence. Nothing. All right, so let's move on to the item part of our meeting here. Section 1 minutes, numbers 1 and 2. I need a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, I didn't get, you got the names, I didn't get it. Okay. All right, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mel?
Yes.
Mr. Cervenak? Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Mrs. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Viscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me. All right, travel, number 1. Need a motion?
Motion? Second?
Please. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Cervenak?
Yes.
Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Mrs. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Viscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. C, budget items for 2021-2022, numbers 1 through 4. May I have a motion, please?
Motion? Second?
All right, any discussion? All right, go forward. Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Cervenak? Yes. Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Viscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. D, Lakers tuition, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Need a motion?
Motion.
Yes. Need a second?
Second?
All right, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mel?
Yes.
Mr. Cervenak? Yes. Ms. Pease?
Abstain?
Ms. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Viscardi?
Yes on the 1 and 2, abstain from 3 due to vocational school.
Okay. You get that?
Third.
And then say yes for me. E, capital reserve, number 1. Need a motion?
Motion?
Second. Sorry.
All right, any discussion? All right, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mel?
Yes.
Mr. Cervenak?
Yes.
Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Mrs. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Viscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. Moving on to section 2. A, administrative, number 1 through 9. Need a motion?
Motion. Discarding.
Second, please.
Okay, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yeah.
I see that we're approving all of the different extended school year programs. Are we going to be adding ESI, the Jumpstart programs, to this soon?
The jump start, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll all be, this time of the year, we usually do the ESYs. It's always And we probably will be looking at other ones for all students when we start looking at the funding. So yeah, that'll probably be our next agenda.
All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Servadac?
Yes.
Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Mrs. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Biscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me. B, personnel, number 1 through 39. I need a motion, please.
Motion?
No. Okay. And need a second?
I'm sorry, same with
Yes,
that?
it's
Mr. Okay, second, this is,
Wingler? All right, any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Servadac?
Yes.
Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Mrs. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Biscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me. C, student personnel, number 1 and 2. Need a motion?
Make a motion, Biscardi.
Second, Keys.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Servadac?
Yes.
Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Mrs. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Biscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. D, special services, number 1. Need a motion?
Now, motion?
Second, Biscardi.
All right, any discussion? All right, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Servadac?
Yes.
Ms. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Biscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me. Athletics, E, numbers 1 and 2. I need a motion?
Make a motion, Biscardi.
Second, Keys.
All right, any discussion? All right, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Servadac?
Yes.
Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Mrs. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Biscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me. Section 3, A, finance, numbers 1 through 4. I need a motion?
Motion now?
Second, Biscardi.
Any discussion? All right, Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Mrs. Mount?
Yes.
Mr. Servadac? Mrs. Pease?
Yes.
Ms. Wingler?
Yes.
Mrs. Biscardi?
Yes.
And yes for me. All right, now we'll have public participation for non-agenda items. If anyone has anything they'd like to bring before the board, please come down to the microphone and present. Oh, we have people moving, yay. What's the group moving? Coming back. It's hard to see with the light in our eyes here. I just see shadows moving. I don't see people. All right, please introduce yourself and let us know what you're.
Hello.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I was going to say this is a challenging time for me wearing the mask. My American Sign Language sign for my name is a C by my face, which is a smile, because I'm always normally smiling, so I apologize if I'm not going to get that tonight. Good evening, Board of Education members, Mr. Tuthaway, and district administrators. My name is Carly Fredericks, and I am the parent of 3 children in the district, 2 of which receive special education services. We purposely moved to the Manchester district about 5 years ago in hopes of finding a smaller district that kept that community feeling as our oldest daughter, who is deafblind, was navigating the older grades. What we found was so much more than that, and we consider Manchester a hidden gem in Ocean County. I'm here today on behalf of a group of parents leading the endeavor to formalize our current Special Education Parent Advisory to an official CPAC. Special Education Parent Advisory groups are required for all districts in New Jersey. The purpose of these groups is to provide opportunities for parents and community members to offer input to their districts on critical issues relating to students with disabilities. New Jersey Administrative Code states that each Board of Education shall ensure that Special Education Parent Advisory groups are in place in the district to provide input to the district, including issues concerning students with disabilities. Like many districts across the state, families and professionals found themselves in unfamiliar territory during the COVID-19 pandemic. We are incredibly grateful for the efforts of the Board of Education, all of the district administration, and staff that quickly got creative to engage their students and families during such an unfortunate time. Now, a year later, it is so important that we have the opportunity to share these experiences while they are fresh in our minds and work collaboratively to learn what worked, what may need improvement, and how we can continue to encourage growth while navigating this new way of learning. Effective CPACs offer the chance to give feedback to district leadership. They can turn needs of students into direct strategies for change. The results can benefit many students, their families, and the school system. Our goal for the remainder of this year is to take the necessary steps to formalize the advisory. In the meantime, we do have a smaller working group that's focusing on 3 areas: enhancing communication, the COVID-19 impact, and the development of a parent survey. We're here this evening in hopes that the Board of Education will consider having a representative at the remaining public advisory meetings, and we would love your support in disseminating information so that we can encourage positive parent involvement. We are pleased to share that we have representatives from every school in the district, including the regional day school, and a parent representative from Lakehurst. Some of which are here this evening, Mrs. Gulch and Mrs. Brooks. And we would also like to thank Mr. Wilkerson for his encouragement, and we look forward to working with the Board of Education and the district administration. We are confident that this effort will yet be another example, exemplifying our district motto, excellence by example. So, how can you get involved with us?
Okay, so if I understand, what you're asking us for is for a board member to volunteer to come sit on your committee for special education?
So part of the CPACs is that it's a working group. That way there could be a closed session for parent input. However, we can bring back systemic issues to the district. However, there is also a public meeting that will happen where any community member could be involved. So yes, we would love a representative from the Board of Education to be the liaison to share information with you all during your closed sessions.
All right, does any Board of Education want to volunteer to sit on this committee?
I'll volunteer to do it.
Okay, you have your volunteer.
Great. And then we would also love your guidance and support in disseminating information. Obviously, there are so many avenues that parents receive information, but any support or guidance that you could provide us would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so we'll send everybody an email with our direct contact information.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Too quick.
Okay, thank you.
All right, does anyone else have a public participation on agenda item they'd like to bring forward? Seeing none, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Manchester Township Board of Education.
Motion now. Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much, and see you next month.